can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
When I hit you up, I'm talking about banging something. Chill off in your crib and half a thing, probably make this thing or something. Girl, you like my bottom bitch. Post my bill, pay for my lawyer. Play your position when the mother hoes get out of order. When you want to give me that, you purchase a plane ticket.
All right, welcome to another edition of Saints and Sinners, season number 91. We're in week number 14, about to be week number 15. Haven't done one of these in a while. Took a couple of days off from work, and so I figured might as well let's get a little Saints and Sinners update, get some content created and get it out there. We're going to cover everything from my bye week on down, mainly because it wasn't pretty before the bye week. I lost a couple of pretty embarrassing games. Not embarrassing because I lost them, but embarrassing because I didn't compete with these guys. These are very good teams, and I thought I would at least have the team to compete with them, and I didn't. The Giants, the Redskins, and the Miners completely demolished me. I just didn't compete in those games really at all. We'll talk about the Miners game, but I've kind of turned a few things around with a little bit of a luck and some last-minute drives here, so we can cover those games, catch you up where we are in season 91 to give myself just a little bit of hope and get ready for maybe, possibly a playoff run here. All right, let's talk about the Miners game. I dropped this one 30-20. The Miners are so loaded with talent. I mean, this team is just full of receivers that could all make the Pro Bowl. It's always a tale of two halves in my games. I never can tell why I can't compete really well in the first half or the second half. If it goes well for me in the first half, it falls apart in the second half. If it goes really badly in the first half, it all comes together in the second half. But as has been the tale of the tape from my team, it's been all about turnovers. And I've been turning the ball over a whole lot. And it's not been something that's come away really, really well. So you can see here, 198 offensive rushing yards to only 30. But he passed the ball at will on me, 311 passing yards. He had 13 first downs to my 24. But if you look down at the turnovers, this was the story of this game. 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions. I think it was actually 3 interceptions and 1 fumble to only 2 by him. And I had the ball a little bit longer, but that's because I was turning it over so much. And then 54 penalty yards. That was a couple big pass interference calls that he had on his side. 1 touchdown to 4 interceptions for Joe Burrow. He just struggled today. He only had a long of 22, sacked 6 times, and has been my team this year. I can't get to the quarterback. Only 1 sack on Tyree Jackson. Look, he's leading the lead in touchdown to interception ratio, and it showed in this game. 315 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He really just kind of had his way. Kamara, 17 for 174 and 1 touchdown. Gordon, 11 for 37, no touchdowns. And then Stewart, 10 for 24. He was one of my backup running backs while my main backup was hurt. But here is really the story for the Miners. You can see all of these really great receivers. He had Gator, 7 for 157 and 2 touchdowns. Ruggs, 5 for 100 and 1 touchdown. These guys are just unstoppable. They're all over the field. It doesn't matter who you put on them. It doesn't seem to want to help at all. And then looking at some defense, you're going to see he really got after Burrow and picked him off and really harassed him. DeAndre Walker, 2.5 sacks. Bradshaw, 1.5 sack. Brown, 1 sack. Nusua, I'm probably not saying that right, but he had a sack. And then you'll see the interceptions here. 2 of them from Trevor Williams, 1 from Perryman, and 1 from King. No interceptions, only 1 sack for my Saints. Really was a struggle the entire game, and we really were not able to have any answers for his receivers. And then on offense, we were just completely thrown off by his pressure and everything else he had going on. So then that brought us to the Chiefs. A tough run here. Chiefs, Buccaneers, and Raiders. And I have like this skill set of being able to make guys look extremely good for some reason. Like, it doesn't matter what your record is. When you play me, you're going to have an opportunity to shine in all different aspects. 409 yards to 439 yards. This was an offensive, just crazy game. 30-26 was the victory. 16 points scored in the fourth quarter by my team. He was pretty consistent throughout 7, 6, 6, and 7, but my team was able to turn some things on there late. 305 passing yards to 249 passing yards. The rushing yards only 134 to 160. So it seemed like nobody could stop anybody. 15 first downs to 14 first downs. That's almost 30 first downs in this game for 665 total yards to 555 total yards. 3 turnovers to 2 turnovers. You'll see the time of possession was pretty close here, 21 to 18. Just a really crazy game. Burrow was able to come back late in this game after throwing some early picks. 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Council was picked off twice in this one, 285, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. So in this game, we were actually able to flip it, and really was the only reason we were able to win this game is because I think Anyamata ended up having a really good game in here. 12 for 132 for Joe Mixon. He had a really long run of 87. He took it off to the right side and just took off on me. I was able to catch him. Kamara's had a really great season. 20 for 120 and 1 touchdown. Eddie Robinson. Actually, no one else really had a really good game in this one. It was all really about the 2 starting running backs. Receiving, Ricky Seals-Jones just completely demolished me from start to finish in this game. We could not cover this kid. 6 receptions for 116 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but man, this guy was unstoppable. Tyreek Hill, he goes on a fly route. Council throws a perfect bomb. I mean, this guy is just so fast. I was double covering him in the second half of this game just because of how good he is. He's so fast. He gets behind your cornerback no matter how fast he seems to be. 3 receptions, 113. And then my guy, Traquan Smith, 4 receptions for 102 yards. Traquan Smith has really been the better receiver on my team here in the second half of the season, which is kind of crazy because I do have some pretty good receivers, including Thomas on this team. Look at some sacks here. Shepard was the only guy to get a sack for him. Anyamata, Pickney, and Shea all came through. Even Raekwon Davis, the rookie, was able to get a sack in there. And then a couple of interceptions here. DeAndre Burley for him had a pick. Edmonds had a pick. Von Bell had a pick for me, and Darius Phillips really his only pick, I think, on the season. He's not played really well for me coming over as a free agent, but getting a pick in this game was big. I think that actually sealed the game and ended it, so the Saints came away with a 30 to 26 victory. Then I played the arch rival Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This actually has been a pretty good rival with him. This whole season, we've had some pretty good back and forth games. This came down again. I had a little over a minute to go. He scored late, looked like the game was over, and Burrow puts together a game-winning touchdown. Exactly what he did to me in the first game of the season, which I think was like week 4 or week 5. Went into overtime after he tied the game, and his quarterback Tua led him to a game-winning touchdown. 100 rushing yards for the Saints, 140 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just kind of gash you on the inside. Tua is so efficient, 337 passing yards to 199, 21 first downs for the Tampa Bay Bucs. He completely had his way. I felt like I was dirty. I was the dirty one winning this game. I had no right to win this game. 3 turnovers for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as I was able to pick Tua off twice and then a fumble. Only 1 turnover for Burrow. 18 minutes to 21 minutes. So this one kind of flip-flopped on me. Joe Burrow, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times, 237 passing yards. Tua, 352 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the 2 big interceptions. He was only sacked 2 times. And then you'll see rushing here. Completely a really good game from his second-year player, Ross. 7 rushes, 97 yards. He didn't have a touchdown, but he had a long of 32 that really hurt me. Kamara, 14 for 92, and then Freeman, 12 for 48. Looking at some receiving, Evans, just a man amongst boys in this game. 11 catches, 204 yards, and a touchdown. Thomas, 5 for 85. Traquan Smith, 6 for 78, and Traquan had a big touchdown. Here you're going to see a couple of big interceptions from my team. Let's look at some sacks first. Jaron Reed had 1.5 sacks. Copeland had 1 sack. Villa had 1 sack. Malcolm Brown, I should say, was the only guy to get a sack for me. Pickney and Davis each had half a sack, and then Thomas him for half a sack. he was really harassing Joe the entire game. Every time I tried to sit in the pocket and let some of those routes develop, he was all over me. Apple had a big toe tap interception. Gardner had a big interception for this. And then Devin White, just a stud in this league, had a big interception for me. And again, Burrow puts together a game-winning drive as the Saints get a game-winning touchdown with no time left on the clock. And then last night we played the Raiders. Come away with a 40-37 victory. This was a crazy game. It seemed like the tale of two halves again. He completely dominated me in the first half. And then in the second half, my team woke up and scores 34 points in the second half, including 21 in the fourth quarter, including a game-winning drive with, I think, a 1 minute and 38 seconds left to go. 337 passing yards to 250, 198 rushing yards to his 98 for a total of 632 to 601. 2 turnovers for the Saints, only 1 turnover for the Raiders. They were crazy turnovers. Burrow just continues to find ways to throw picks in the end zone. This entire season, that has been his Achilles heel. 19 minutes and 17 seconds to 20 minutes and 37 seconds. So the time of possession was pretty even. I put Sam Darnold in the Pro Bowl after this game. 337 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a long of 75. He had a drive of 99 yards. It was just crazy how good and efficient the Raiders were. They just carved up my defense. Joe Burrow, 3 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 278 yards. He sacked 3 times. Darnold was not sacked at all. He had no pressure on him the entire game. Alvin Kamara, 18 for 113. We'll spit it out. 2 touchdowns. Jacobs, 16 for 86. We did a pretty good job on Jacobs. It was good to have Garland back in this game. 9 rushes for 85 yards. And both of my guys had really, really good games. Jimmy Bland, his tight end, was just carving up my linebackers. He was really hitting a lot of post routes and drag routes. Evidently, he's a pretty speedy guy. 3 touchdowns, 4 receptions for 147 yards. Traquan Smith, 7 for 107. You'll see Thomas only 2 for 30. A tough game for him. Looking at some defense here, we'll look at some sacks. 3 sacks for Clyde Farrell. I don't know where this guy came from, but I made him shine today. He was just coming off of that edge and just completely demolishing my left tackle. Had no answers for protecting this guy. And then interceptions, you'll see Carl Joseph had a big interception in the end zone. The Jordan Evans pick was actually a whole lot of fun. I was using him. I covered an out route. He threw it and was able to get the pick. And then Trayvon Mullen picked me off late in the second half. Ended up not hurting my team and was able to make a comeback. So that catches you up at least where the games were. That's going to put me at 7-6. Still 3 games back of the Carolina Panthers with 4 games left to play. 1 against him. It's pretty much over unless something happens and Maniac completely folds in this one. The Buccaneers still have an opportunity as well. He and I are tied. I think it's going to, I don't actually know what Madden looks at next. It's probably going to be common opponents to see what our records are against them. So a little glimmer of hope with 3 wins in a row, but a long way to go. My defense is being gashed, and Joe Burrow continues to throw picks in the end zone that just completely hinders my ability to put up points. Look at some stats here. 19 touchdowns to 23 interceptions. Not good for Joey Burrow. 3,236 passing yards on 63% passing percentage. He was sacked 44 times. My offensive line has not protected him extremely well. Here's been the shining bright for my team and something I didn't expect to happen at all. 225 rushing attempts for Mr. Alvin Kamara on 1,314 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's only fumbled 2 times. And I think he's had, we'll look at his receiving, but he's did a pretty good job receiving the ball. Garland has been hurt. Stewart has done a pretty good job filling in for him. Garland's come back in the second half, though, and been that really tough tackle in between the tackles guy for me to play really well. Mike Thomas leading my team. Again, a lot of this has come in the first half of the season. He's been pretty quiet in the second half where Trayvon Smith has shined, but 60 receptions on 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns for Mr. Michael Thomas. Traquan Smith, 44 for 721 and 2 touchdowns. Bogan's had a pretty decent year for a tight end on my team. 39 for 534. And then Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the ultimate trade that went bad. I made this deal hoping that he would be an immediate starter for me. He's played decent in spots, but was not worth the first-round pick that I traded for him back in season 1. And then Mr. Kamara, 21 receptions for 249. Looking at my defense real quick, Mr. Donald Payne has had an up and down season. Sometimes he makes plays and sometimes he gets gashed, but he's leading my team with 82 tackles, 12 tackles for loss. Shea has played decent in spots, 18 tackles for loss, but only 2.5 sacks coming for him. And then you're going to see my team completely not playing well when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback. This guy was a 30-sack guy the last couple of seasons. You take away abilities, he's got 11 sacks this season, 5.5 from Onyemata, 5.5 from Brown. The rookie Raekwon Davis, 3.5, and Shea, 2.5. Interceptions, again, nothing to really brag about. Apple, 4 interceptions. Diggs, 2 of his came in the first 2 games of the season. He's been ultimately quiet since then, and then a few guys with just 1 interception. So nothing to really brag about there for my team. That's going to bring us to an end of our Saints and Sinners and catch you up with where we are here in week number 14. We're going to be to week 15, I think, sometime today. A couple of big games that we can look at here really quickly. We got the Panthers coming up in week number 15. It's going to be a pivotal matchup if I am going to make a run here in the playoffs. You got the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles, 2 extremely tough games. Both of those teams are fighting for, I think, playoff lives. I don't know about the Eagles because he took off a team that was struggling pretty bad. But look, he had the Panthers at 9-0. He's a really good team with a really good coach, and that's going to be a tough game to be able to win. So a little glimmer of hope here in our last season of Madden 21 before we start our summer league, which is going to be 2002 rosters. It's been a fun team, but a really frustrating team. It just seems like Madden just does some really weird stuff that confuses me, and I can't quite get my finger on it. And Joey Burrow continues to throw picks in the end zone. That's going to continue to hurt my team. So we're going to have to figure some things out and turn some things around, but we're going to keep fighting. Going to see if we can't make a run here late, and we'll do another Saints and Sinners as we get to week number 17 and let you know exactly how this team played out. Thanks for watching. Have a really great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time either on Press Pass Live or even an All 22 coming out here pretty soon. So have a great rest of your week. God bless you. Peace.